Hello and welcome to the programme which looks at the Holy Land. I am Paul Calvert. Psalm 42 verse 1 from the New King James Bible says this: As the deer pants for the water's brook, so pants my soul for you, O God.
I'm with Yechezkel Lifshitz, who is the Director General of the Israeli Water Authority. Now we're talking about Israel pumping desalinated water into the Sea of Galilee. Is this project the first of its kind?
Yes, sure. As far as we know, it's the first project in the world of pumping water, actually desalinated water, back into nature. In Israel, we used to treat the nature as something that can give us water, can produce water for us. And this project, in order to put water back into nature, is very unique. It's the first time in Israel that it is done. And also, as far as we know, we do not know about any other country in the world that pumps back into a reservoir or back into nature.
Does Israel lead the way in desalinating water? And is this Israeli technology?
Well, in Israel, we have now 6 desalination plants that work in Israel. All of them are working in a BOT mechanism, which is owned by the private sector, sells water to the government, and after 25 years, transfers the desalination plant to the state, actually. So these 6 desalination plants actually produce about 70% of the water consumption to the domestic sector in Israel. As far as we know, this is the highest percentage in the world, maybe together with the United Emirates or other few countries. But since the natural enrichment, natural water that we get in Israel is pretty low, we need to build more and more desalination plants in order to supply water to the growing population.
How do you actually desalinate water?
The technology is called reverse osmosis. Actually, it takes water from the Mediterranean, puts it in a membrane, uses a lot of energy in order to make the pressure in the membrane. And then from one side, we get water that are drinkable after putting some calcium in this water. And the brine actually is taken back into the Mediterranean.
Why are you putting water into the Sea of Galilee? Is the water level sinking?
Yes, last winter, the winter between the years 2024 and 2025 is considered to be the worst winter in Israel ever in the last 100 years. We're not saying it just as a phrase. We have data, we have information about the rain in the past 100 years. The last winter was so bad, and as I said before, was the worst in the past 100 years. Because of that, the sea level in the Sea of Galilee went down sharply, and that's why we have to pump almost no water from the Sea of Galilee and to put back water, desalinated water, back into the Sea of Galilee.
How big a job is this, pumping water into the Sea of Galilee?
Well, this project is very expensive. It started being, the pipes actually, started being put in the ground at 2018. About 7 years ago. The project was finished in 2022. So actually the project took about between 4 and 5 years. Actually, it takes water from desalination plants that are located along the beach in Israel. The water is pumped close to the Sea of Galilee, close to the Kinneret. And then the water is pumped into a lake called Salmon Lake. It's a small lake, or actually small river in Israel, and through this lake into the Kinneret. So actually this project was finished almost 3 years ago, but since the sea level in the Sea of Galilee was pretty high due to 4 or 5 very good winter seasons that we have had since 2018 and 2023, we didn't actually use this project. Since the last winter, as I said before, was so bad and water level in the Sea of Galilee went down sharply, we are now starting to put water from the desalination plants all the way about 75 kilometers to the east and then to the Sea of Galilee.
So this was really forward thinking and forward planning. How important is the Sea of Galilee to Israel?
Well, as I said, first, in the water sector in Israel, we are planning decades ahead. For example, we're now building a master plan to the water sector in Israel to the year 2075. It's very complicated. It's not easy. As far as we know, it's very unique. But since building desalination plants and other infrastructures in Israel, all over the world actually, takes a lot of time, we need to plan 25 and even 50 years ahead in order to build enough desalination plants and other equipment to supply water to Israel. This is because building infrastructure takes so much time.
Is the Sea of Galilee Israel's drinking water as well?
Yeah, we pump water from the Sea of Galilee, but unlike in the past, the Sea of Galilee was the most important reservoir, most important water source for drinking in Israel. Since the population in Israel is growing in a little less than 2% a year, to be more precise, it's 1.8% every year, which means every 35 years, the population here will be doubled. We cannot rely on the Sea of Galilee anymore because we don't get more rain. Due to the climate change, the forecast is that we'll have less and less rain in the future. To bridge this gap, less rain and more population that will need more water, we need to build more and more desalination plants. As I said before, we have accurate goal for the coming decades. Every few years, we have to build another desalination plant.
Now, this is previously salt water going into fresh water. Will people be able to taste the difference?
No, actually, the desalinated water is very healthy. The Ministry of Health in Israel sets the standards for drinking water, which is considered to be very high according to international standards. And actually, no one can know if the water comes from natural sources or from desalination. Also, what you drink in your house is actually a mix between water that comes from desalination and water that comes from natural sources, such as the Sea of Galilee or the aquifers. So actually, no one can know where the water comes from. And again, the standards in Israel for drinking water is very high. And according to international standards, it's very healthy. I can tell you that I drink tap water in Israel. I don't drink mineral water. And I recommend every time to everyone I meet in the interviews to the media in Israel to drink water from tap.
Now, the world is surrounded by salt water. Will this help combat drought in other countries like Africa?
Well, definitely. If you have a way to pump water from the sea, of course, it can help to solve their problems. We know that in many places in the world, not only in Africa, we see what happens here in the Middle East, in Iran, in other countries, but also in Europe countries. I don't know if everyone is aware that England is now suffering from water scarcity. If you look back, let's say 4 years, for example, there was a severe drought in countries like Germany. The Rhine River was almost dried out 4 years ago. In South Africa, in Cape Town, they were talking about the D-Day, a day that they will not have enough water in the taps in Cape Town. But of course, every country that has a way to pump water from the sea can desalinate water and have enough water for its population. Unfortunately, it's much more expensive than having water from nature.
Is this Israeli technology?
The technology for desalination is, let's say, about 60 years old. There are several technologies in the world today. The most used technology is reverse osmosis. It's well known in the world. As far as I know, an Israeli scientist was involved in this technology, but also other technologies in the world that uses more energy. About 50% of the cost of desalination is for energy. And if you can save energy in the desalination process, of course, it can reduce the cost of desalination.
Will this revive and protect the ecosystem?
Yes, of course. In Israel, we don't have too many lakes. Israel is a very small country. We don't have too many lakes, too many springs, especially in the north of Israel. That's why we're trying to release natural springs and natural lakes to flow all the time in order to have places to travel and to have trips in Israel. And of course, if you don't pump water from springs and from lakes, this water can be used for nature, for animals, and for other uses.
Now, every country needs water. Does this strengthen the nation of Israel?
Yes, of course. Since in water we want to be independent, we cannot rely in the area of water on neighbors or other countries. It was said in the past that Israel will buy water from foreign countries, and fortunately, we didn't rely on this solution, and we decided that in water we want to be independent. That's why we build more desalination plants and will be independent. And I don't know if you're aware of that Israel also supplies water for its neighbors, the Palestinian Authority and Jordan Kingdom.
Are you helping other countries with this technology?
Yes, there are many startup Israeli companies that deal with water. The water sector in Israel, considered to be, according to the World Bank and the OECD, is considered to be as one of the best water sectors in the world. There are many Israeli companies that have a lot of very interesting technologies in order to save water, in order to avoid water leaks, in order to treat the sewage, and etc. Many Israeli companies operate all over the world, and there are some really fascinating Israeli companies that can help other countries to face the challenges that the climate change will bring to us.
What is your hope for the future with all of this?
Well, first, let's hope for a lot of rain, especially in Israel and all over the world, because this is the cheapest and the fresh water that we can have, of course. And I hope that all the world will be able to use the knowledge in Israel. Usually every year, tens of countries, tens of delegations come to Israel in order to learn from the Israeli model. And of course, Israel will be happy and to share its knowledge with other countries in order to face the challenges that we are probably going to have. And together with sharing knowledge of the Israeli sector, together with Israeli technologies, I am sure that other countries can face the challenges and bring fresh water to all over the world and to countries that suffer from water scarcity.
This really is Israel being a light to the nations, isn't it?
Exactly. I think that supplying knowledge in order to bring water to everyone can lead to a better world and to avoid diseases and avoid even wars in all over the world.
Well, Yechezkel, thank you very much for sharing today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Pray that God will move by his mighty power in the Holy Land and bring his peace.